support here is gamay lang ni sila para isa lang sa section si Benta. Diretso nga akong tentative loading na file. Send na lang ako for your reference. Tapos lang ako survey katigay. Tanaw na po ang yan. Sana mag-return. Lalagay mo na kalagin. Para po alam. Ano na lang sir, sa pinakababa lang sa siguro, sir.
Ang iniisip ko nga, huwag ko nang i-like, ma'am, kasi baka ano siya.
Sige.
Baka magsabay
sa una na ma'am. Na siya makuhaan na gusto sa expert. Or especially
Hello guys. Hello.
isa lang. Pwede ba specialist?
Hello. All right. So let me explain what I did.
Microsoft
Pamasuro ko gitawag. Anyway, so as you can see right here, these are components of swing. Yeah, swing along with JFrame. As you can see here, we have JLabel, JTextField, and JButton. So when we speak of JLabel, these are used to display some text to your screen. And when we talk about JTextField, this is used to accept input from the user. No? So whether you ask an age, number, or a name, and then button is used to create an event. So whether you want to click or double click. So please do follow the naming convention for label. So the prefix should be LBL. So not num1, not num2. Although pwede na siya, but then again, I would encourage you to start with label or LBL. So let's say if you want to create name, instead of name or an age, you please do or start with label name and then LBL age, so that whenever you are writing your program or as you're writing your program, once you start writing LBL, it means that the things that will be displaying in your to your screen will be uh, all the label components. The same as true with the text field and button. So for the text field, txt. And either txt num1, txt num2, txt age, txt name. And then for button, you can either follow CMD or BTN. No, BTN stands for button. So BTN add, BTN close. All right. Do you understand? So I'll
Yes,
need you
sir.
to follow this convention, right? Okay. So one thing that you will need to do is, of course, setting our GUI, which is our frame. No, set title, set size, set visible, and set default close operation. If you guys want to have a set location relative to null, meaning at the center, or it will be positioned at the center, then you can have it null. Okay, so that's it. We have already set the components of our JFrame. Now, next thing you will do is to instantiate the object. So, by the way, JLabel, JTextField, and JButtons are all encapsulated class, the same with JFrame. So, in fact, makita nato dire daghan na siya mga constructors. Yan. You can set either putting an icon or an image or combination of icon and image or anything that has anything as long as it's valid here. Okay, the same with JLabel. So, I mean, the same with other things. So, if you don't want to use the constructor, you can set the text of your JLabel. So, instead of having first number there, you just have to do first number. So, this will do instead. So, the same as true with LBL2. Yan. Okay? So, you can do something like that, or uh, why not take advantage of the constructor? Okay, with the JText field, again, with the LBL, there are so many setters there. So set bounds, set components, set disable, set editable, or set enabled, things like that. So there are setters and getters in every component. So yeah, that's why I have discussed to you the setters and getters, and it's important. So diri ninyo ma-appreciate na gina-apply din na siya or implement din na siya sa swing components. So without its concept, this one cannot be actualized. So now in the JText field, you have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 constructors all in all. So meaning you can have the text here, like saying enter a number, or let's say we have here a 0. And then what else do we have here? So you can even have like the column. It's like the column size. It means how much is the width of your JText field. So meaning to say, either you have the initial size, or let's say 20 as its column size. But since we already set its column to 30, later on I'm gonna 120, I'm gonna be telling you, or of course teaching you how to set up this. So once we run this one, you will have enter first number in the text field, enter a number, and then zero as its default, okay, value. Once we set this one, okay, for the button, you have also constructors there. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So you have 11 along with, like, you can actually put icons beside J button. So same with BT Enclose, same with label and text field. All these components has setters and getters. Yan, set text, set tooltip text, and even getters. Yan. So we're gonna be exploring more of this in the near future. Now, for now, I want you to look at this one. So one of the important concepts in developing UI in Java is to know layout managers. So layout managers are used to position our components in JFrame uh, in an easier manner depending on what layout managers you are going to use. So meaning to say, you can position your layout managers at ease, I mean your components at is using layout managers. So since we don't have layout managers applied in this program, we'll need to do a hard code way. I mean, we'll need to do set bounds. By the way, set bounds is a combination of, it's like setting your label to its size. So the size means this is 120 versus its height 230. And then LBL num that set location, all right, location, it means the x and y coordinates. So this is 10 and 10. So what is with this is that whenever you add the label LBL, ayan, LBL num1, so I just have to comment this one out. So this will give you this one. So kung mapansin niyo, if you try to notice, this is the how much is this? 300 by 200 pixels. So this is 300 by 200 pixels. This would mean that this is the 300 width and 200 height in pixel. Now, you have here the gap between the x coordinates and then the y coordinates. So this is the x coordinate, this is the y. It means that you have 10 by 10. So meaning if you are going to put 0 in your you set 0 here in Rene Descartes plane, or Rene Descartes or Rene Descartes plane, you I don't know if I'm pretty much sure you're familiar with Cartesian plane, x and y coordinates. There are 4 quadrants. So positive, 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 negative, negative, positive, and negative, negative. But in Java, we only use the first quadrant, which is positive, positive. And it means that this one here is 0 and 0. So it means that we set our location of our LBL to 0 and 0. It is positioned at the edge on the first quadrant, so 0 and 0. That means if we're going to set the location to 50 and let's say 10, this would mean that the x is 50. So x is 50 and y is 10. So these are coordinates. Again, coordinates. So mathematically speaking, we use point ordered pairs x and y coordinates to position our labels or our components. 50 in the x, so meaning it will move uh, 50 steps to the right and then 10 steps going down. So that means the first number will move 50 steps to the right and then 10 steps, 10 ba yun? 10 steps going down. So ayan. So therefore, wala ta nakaset default dispose on close. Ayan. Anyway, so If you want to move this to 100, so this means 100 steps and then malapas na siya sa imong, let's say set size is 300. So if you're going to move this to 350, this would mean na mawala na siya. Like it will really vanish there. So kasi 300 lang ang pixel sa tuang window. So probably if you set this to 200, let's say 90, you will only see some part of the text no first. Okay, so now, by the way, this one is movable, meaning you can uh, re-maximize this one or resize rather. So if you don't want to do you don't want the user to do that, you can actually do or call set resizable to false. So meaning this will not be resizable anymore. So that would mean that this is not going to be, or this cannot be resized. So now let's go back to here. It's, let's say, 10 by 10, and then this is for width and height, no? Width and height. So width and height is 120 to 30, meaning the width ihang kalaparon, and then the height is the, of course, the kataason. So if you're going to make this like 10, therefore your enter first number will be something like that only. It's an ellipse, no? So whenever you expand this to 100, most probably you will have enter our first number or something like this. If this is 50, let's say you run your program, you will have first, and then nawala ng number. So now we just set it to 120. And then 30 kalaparon. So example, if we make it 100, so this will, didn't you appreciate, but it's like iyang size is, iyang height rather, will be like this, dako-dako na. So now, going back here, instead of in ana, you can have called set bounds. So we have here, let's say 10, 10, 120, and 30. So this would mean this is x, y, width, and height. So x and x coordinate, y coordinates, and then width and height. All right. So instead of you do this, you can actually do like this, a combination of x set size and set location. So this is what it would mean if you are going to use set size only or set location only, but you can do it all together using set bounds. Now, with this one, if you're going to be using set bounds, of course, pwede na ito wala. Okay? Or you can actually do like this, kaning nasa baba. So instead of in ani, you can actually do method chaining. So this is what we call method chaining. In Java, you can see more of this, or you will see more of this. So it's a method and then another method. So set bounds 10, 10, 20, 120, and 30. Now, how are you going to position the next element to it? If you want this text field to sit beside it, no, and without overlapping its component, you'll just have to make sure how much is the width. So since the width is 120 and you give allowance, you could either put 140, but since it's a label, you just have to put 120. So meaning to say, if this would mean 120 is the, this is x and y coordinates 10 and 10, you're going to position your text field after 120 width so that it will not overlap. Otherwise, it will overlap. Example, you set this to 50. So when it is 50, it means the x is 50 and it overlaps. So to give allowance, you can either set it to 140 or probably 120. If it would mean it's not, if you don't have long message to your labels. So since fit lang siya, then we could have it 120. So the x is 10, then the width is still 120, the same, para same lang sila o size, and then 30 is the height. Okay, so now this is the first two components. As you can see, it's aligned to like this. And then if you want the second number to align at the first number, but instead of its y is aligned to this, then you will have to move, you will have to have a gap in between them, and then you have here another number. So you have here enter a number, and then this is the text field one, and then this is text field one, which are num1 and txt num1 and num2 respectively. So all you just need to do is this. Number one, uh, same x for label num2. All you just need to do is y would move beyond 30. Kasi if this is like let's say 20, this means it would overlap to the label. So something like that. So we don't want it to happen. So therefore, we have to count the 30. So since 30, you could have it 40 or like 50, just to make sure that there is a gap between the above component and then the component that you expect it to position after it. So now, when you position it, you have here so there is a gap. So this is like 30, there is a gap of 20 pixels. Therefore, imagine this is, since we have here 30 and you have 50, there is a 20 pixels gap between first number and second number. So I guess it's the same things to txt num2, only that this, the x value for your txt1 num2 will be 120, that is aligned to txt num1, and then the same y. So the only thing that is changed here is the y and then the x coordinates, and then all the rest, width and height, are all the same. So with the buttons, of course, um, you want it to position right after, you put a gap, since this is 30, like 30 plus 50 is 80, so therefore you have here 80. I mean 30 plus 50, or yeah, something like that. This is like 30 plus 30, rather 60, and you have here 80. There is also 20 gap, rather. Katulad ito, 30 plus 30 is 60, then 20 gap, and then 80. So the button will have a gap in between txt num2, and then there is a 20 gap here. So 80. Yan. And then, you mathematically speaking, that's how you will do it using set bounds. So 100 of x, 180 of x para dili mag-overlap si add and close, and then 80 is its y location. All right? So making it like this. So it's not the most amazing and it's in good design, but at least it has position as it is expected. So now, what we're going to do is, before I will proceed, any questions so far? Paspas? Na question?
Okay, sir.
Wala. So I'll now create an event to it. So since I'm going to create event to add or enclose button, so there are actually different techniques to do it, but I'm gonna be teaching you first technique muna this time. So this is the basic technique, and once kanina technique, if you have more actions or buttons, I would not recommend this one. But if you only have 2 buttons or 3 or 4 buttons, this will do. So let's say we have add action listener. So by the way, the action listener is an interface in Java. This is used to create an event, no, or action. So I will need you to do inherit, or not inherit, but implement action listener. So this would mean we are overriding it. So I'm going to go back. So para dili mo retype ani, all you need to do is like this: btn add action, enter, control, makita naman to nyo, then new new act, control space, you will see their action listener. By the way, the action listener is uh, imported from abstract window toolkit event. So these are action event and action listener. So you will need to import these two before you can have an event for your buttons. So as you can see, this is override. So this is what we call now polymorphism or method overriding, and this is polymorphism again. Okay, So polymorphism, and then the action perform, you cannot change this one. Let's say action performs. So it means it's an error because again, you haven't you have to override the method. You cannot change this one. Action perform will be always action perform. So this would mean that inside of which this is where we write our scripts, no, or our codes. Okay. So again, this is the uh, this is creating event to your button. So now since this will add, we will have here int, let's say num1 is equal to integer dot parse int. So txt, where do we get the data from? Of course, the txt num1. So get text. So there is a getter. Yan, get text. And then let's do the same for num2. Ayan. And then let's have here, let's say sum is equal to num1 plus num2. And then we are going to display it to JOption pane. So JOption pane that show message dialog null. And then the sum is, and then plus sum. All right. So now, whenever we run this program, you will have, or you can have here 3 and then like 5 and then add. So the sum is 6. So there, no? So whenever you change this, the sum is 11 or 12 rather, 6 plus 5. What happened? So I guess I haven't changed this one to 2. So that's why mali ato ang output, or inaccurate. So we have 4 and then 5. This will have, the sum is 9. Then 5 plus 5, the sum is 10. So the idea there of null is actually like this. So component ito siya, parent component. Meaning, if you want to position this JOption pane at the center of your txt num1, you can do that. You can do that rather. Txt num1. Ayan. So 3 and then 5. So you will see it's at the center of the text field. So that's the use of component there. So if you want na it will position at the center, you just have to put there null. All right. Another one is for btn close. So btn close that add action. So again, add action, enter, then new action listener, enter. So ana lang, and then para di mo maglisod og ano ani pag generate, and then system that exit 0. So this will close the program, or you can say something like the program is going to terminate, or like the thank you. So something like a message back saying thank you for using the app. Yan. And then program will now terminate or something. So thank you for using the app, and then close. That's it. Now, let's say we don't want to use the text field, JOption pane. Like we want to display it in a label result, LBL result, or something like that's where we display the output of the operation. So we'll need to, again, first step, go back to instantiation and then label, and then you have here the result is something like that. All right, now you'll have to add this component here. So let's say LBL result set bounds. So if you want to position it right after the button, so it says here that it's 80. Yan. So 30 plus 30 plus 30 is 90. Therefore, if you want to have a gap of 10, you can position it to 100. Okay? And then let's say 100 ang ihang x, and ang y 100. And let's say this is ibutang na to 150. Yan. And then you can have here, so the result is, if you want to position this more, I mean to move this one around, so you just have to position, to align it with the text field. And if you want to have a gap, so let's expand more or add some more to your y. So therefore, if this is if you would like it to have be aligned, 120. So in the txt num1 and txt num2, so then you will have to put here 120, and you can have the gap of 20 pixels. So this would display now, at least there is a gap in between add buttons with 20 pixels. So now, instead of you display it to JOption pane, all you just need to do is call LBL result, then set text. So that's the work of setters, no? Mga setters. And then put here the sum is plus sum. There, and then run your program, and then 4, and then 6, and then the sum is 10. And then close. That's it. All right, so that's it for now. Any question, guys?
Wala, sir.
Nothing,
Nice,
sir.
sir.
Wala question, nasabtan?
Sabtan nun, sir. Wala na, sir.
Sabtan, sir.
Very good. Okay, so let's have our uh, Myla. Is Myla around?
Sir, sa ano ba, sir? Sa OSA. Bakante pa ba yun doon?
Kitsa may ano dre. Joyce, Angela. Esparagosa, Myla. Please take the attendance, please.
Sir, gagawa namin ulit na panibagong
So,
pahawat.
kay dili na ako, dili maigo sa